Libya's National Transitional Council spokesman says Italy has agreed to supply it with weapons.
We have reached an agreement with a friendly country, that is Italy, regarding weapons and military personnel. Our military personnel went on 2 occasions to Italy, and we are about to receive weapons.
Volga did not, however, specify the types of arms that are to be delivered. Meanwhile, a top revolutionary commander says no weapons have been received from any foreign country so far. This comes as a government source in Rome has said Italy will only offer revolutionaries, quote, self-defense material. France, Britain, and Italy have reportedly sent military advisors to the opposition stronghold Benghazi to help the revolutionaries. Meanwhile, at least 9 people have been killed and dozens more injured in clashes near the western town of Zintan. Regime helicopters have also violated the no-fly zone in the besieged city of Misrata. Earlier, revolutionaries criticized NATO for its failure to stop an assault on oil storage containers despite prior warning about bombardment. Well, to discuss the war in Libya more, we're joined by former Assistant Secretary to the US Treasury, Mr. Paul Craig Roberts. Well, first of all, what do you think of Italy's role in the ongoing war in Libya?
Well, Italy is an American puppet state, and they will do whatever Washington tells them to do. I don't think Italy has a role as an independent country. And so I don't pay really any attention to what Italy says.
All right. Well, can you please further elaborate on the announcement made by the Libyan National Transitional Council spokesman about Italy agreeing to supply it with weapons? Is this overall permissible, having the UN Security Council resolutions in mind?
No, it's not. All the UN Security Council permits is a no-fly zone. That means to stop Libyan Air Force planes from flying in the air. It doesn't mean that NATO countries can come to the military aid of the rebels. You see, in my opinion, and I may be mistaken, but my opinion is there is no legitimate rebellion in Libya. It's a CIA operation. The United States government is trying to get China out of Libya because China has extensive energy investments in Libya and also in 2 other North African countries. And the United States is very disturbed by the recent report from the International Monetary Fund that China will surpass the United States as the #1 economic power within 5 years. So Washington is trying to evict China from the Mediterranean, and that is why the Libyan so-called rebellion is unique. It did not take place in the capital city, and it is also an armed rebellion, which has not previously characterized the Arab protest. It originates in the east, where China's oil investments are located. And so what this is an effort to evict China from Libya.
All right, Mr. Roberts, if the situation that's going on in Libya, as you say, is the United States with ulterior motives to the humanitarian intervention that it initially claimed to have, then what will constitute an endgame for what's going on in Libya right now?
Well, the endgame would be to probably petition the country and eject China from the east, which would be under the new CIA operation. It's possible that Washington would go further and send troops and overthrow Gaddafi, but it would meet Washington's objective simply to separate the oil regions in order to get rid of China out of the Mediterranean. For the same reason, Washington is focused on Syria, because in Syria, the Russians have a very large naval base at which they intend to keep guided missile cruisers and aircraft carriers. And Washington does not want the Russians with a navy in the Mediterranean. And so what has happened is, although Washington was caught off guard by the Arab protests in Tunisia and Egypt and Bahrain, they quickly learned that they could use Arab protests as a cloak behind which to hide while China and Russia are evicted from the Mediterranean. And in my opinion, that's what all of this is about. It's certainly not about any humanitarian concern. I mean, how can the Americans, or Washington rather, be concerned with humanitarian issues when they are continually murdering people in Pakistan and Afghanistan and wherever else? So it's nothing to do with humanitarian concerns. It has to do with evicting two other world powers from the Mediterranean region.
All right, very well. From Atlanta, former Assistant Secretary to the US Treasury Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, many thanks for sharing your thoughts with us here on Press TV.